Welcome to another episode of Greyhounds Football with head coach Che Hendrix on the Greyhounds Sports Network. I'm your host, Brant Freeman, again joined via Zoom by Greyhounds head coach Che Hendrix. The Greyhounds coming off a playoff opening win over Burnett this past week, 38-7. Coach, you were in control of the game for a majority, got an early touchdown in the first quarter, never trailed this past week. How impressed were you with the effort your team gave you out there?
Yeah, ultra impressed. We played a really good football game. We were hoping coming off a bye week that we would not be sluggish. Sometimes you're a little sluggish in the first quarter, so we tried to emphasize it all week. We really wanted to get out to a fast start, a quick start, and we did. We scored first, got a turnover, scored again, and kind of rolled from there.
It's not often that in the postseason you face a team for the second time this early in the playoffs. Was there an advantage for you having played Burnett before in non-district play?
No, I don't think so. We didn't spend a lot of time talking about our week 3 matchup. Obviously, we as coaches watch film and tried to figure out what they were going to do like they did. But we're two different teams coming into week 12. They were a different team. We were a different team. So we really just focused on the team we were about to play and try not to live in the past on it.
The passing game was very successful for you this past Friday. Rashawn Galloway, nearly 300 yards passing, threw 4 touchdown passes, hit a number of receivers this past Friday. Just how locked in were you when it came to the passing game?
Yeah, we threw the ball really well. It always starts up front. We give our quarterback time. Defensively, they're really tough to handle. They're a 3-man front team, and they slant and move and blitz, and they give you a lot of trouble. I am actually glad that probably was our advantage of playing them before. We got to see all that. Our offensive linemen did. And so I thought we did a great job holding up front. We knew if we could do that, we would have some shots to take in the pass game. We felt good about some of our routes and some of our matchups and some things we could do off of motions and all that. And it all worked out. And Rashawn threw the ball extremely well, and he had some help. We had some big time catches from our receivers. Caught some balls in traffic, caught some balls up high, and so overall, we just played really well offensively.
One position in which you're really deep at has been wide receiver this season, but then you get Matt Mahalik back. What does that do for you offensively?
It's just such a boost to have a player like him back. It's such a morale builder. He's a leader. He's a team favorite, great locker room guy, not scared to make a huge play in a big-time crunch situation. He's been there. He's got so much experience. So it obviously helped from an athletic standpoint because he's such a good player, but I think it helps even more from the intangible stuff. And, it's just great to see him out there playing. I'm so happy for him, and I'm happy for our team. That's kind of the piece that hopefully I feel like will propel us over the edge offensively for this playoff run.
Coming off the injury, though, of course, how did he look to you physically?
He's 100%. When he came back a couple weeks ago, he was still limping. Each practice, he's gotten a little bit better, and I would say now, he's finally mentally and physically 100%. Probably the second game he came in, he was a little unsure mentally how it would hold up, but now I think he's passed all those hurdles. He's played in 3 games. He's had a bunch of practices, so he's 100%.
Your defense did not allow a point until the game was well in hand 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. You forced 3 turnovers and got a game-sealing pick 6 from somebody you know pretty well. Your son, Che Hendrix, had that late in the second half. Looking at the play of the defense this past week, that's a pretty impressive way for you to start the postseason.
Yeah, it was great. We played great team defense. We really challenged our guys up front to stop the run and make them one-dimensional. That's been a big focus of us. They run the ball pretty well, and we stopped the run and we got a lead, and we forced them into things they're uncomfortable doing, which is dropping back and trying to throw the ball. Will Pearson had a great interception, and Houston had 2, and then the run back. We've talked about this for a long time. We've gone 3 years without a defensive touchdown. That's a long time, and so we finally got one in the end zone, and it was a great way to kind of seal the night, cap the victory. Coaches felt great about it. Kids felt great, so it was a great way to end the evening for us.
I want to go back to the fact that you had an off week going into the playoffs. Just how much of an advantage was that for you to get the extra week of rest and preparation before you start this playoff run?
Looking back on it, it was. I wasn't sure during the week it was an advantage for us. You're never really quite sure how that will play out. We were playing really good football, and I kind of didn't want to stop. I kind of wanted just to keep pushing through it. But, like I said, looking back, having a week off, having a chance to watch different teams play around the area on Friday night with all the live streams, which is awesome for us. You don't have to go live scout anymore. You can sit in your living room and watch 3 or 4 games. The kids felt refreshed. Everybody had a bounce in their step. Everybody was ready to go. Our practices were really sharp. I thought we had probably the best practice we've had all year on the Thursday of the bye week. We got after it. We went good on good, one-on-one, and did a lot of situations. And our kids were hitting each other, and they were talking trash to each other, and it was ultra competitive. In fact, we stopped and had to bring it back together and say, this is why we're good, but when we leave here, we're one. We really competed, which I was happy with, and that's what we wanted to try to do, is stay sharp and do that over the week. So, like I said, ended up being an advantage for us, I think. Wasn't sure how that would play out going in, but I was happy we had it.
Again, the Greyhounds coming off a playoff opening win over Burnett this past week, 38-7. Let's now take a look at the big plays, the key plays for the Greyhounds in their win over the Bulldogs.
All right, so here's our first clip against Burnett. We're going to start defensively. See here, we got a interception by Will Pearson, free safety there, and a nice play. Set us up in good field position here. Obviously, this was a big play early in the game. Got us down to their plus territory, and got a little pressure on the quarterback just enough. And then, of course, free safety play in center field made a great play. Next play here. This is literally right after the turnover. We decided to take a shot. You can see a little motion. We saw something early in the week. We felt like when we motioned, we would have a chance to get to a favorable coverage and a favorable matchup for us. The plan was to hit him on the go route. We thought he would roll down, and he was out of position. So here's the little play action. You can see right there when the safety and corner look in the backfield, that usually spells trouble for defensive backs. Sean took a great throw on Jackson, and he walks it in here. We got good protection. Offensive line played great this week. You can see right there, we got a nice pocket where Sean can set his feet and make a good throw. Got a little pressure late, but we expected that on play action. So one more shot from the end zone. So that was a great start for us. Second offensive clip I wanted to show. This is the catch of the year for us right here. We got a little waggle or half rollout, and we got a couple guys open. You can see in the flat, but Sean sees this corner come off, and he goes ahead and throws this. Generally this play is designed to go the flat. We tell Rashawn, you can't go broke taking a profit hitting this guy, but the one time he's allowed to peek this is when he has protection. Again, you can see the way we protected and how they were playing. He definitely had plenty of time right here to set up. So that's why he chose to let it fly. And then that catch, look at him there, totally laid out parallel in the end zone and somehow hung on to it. I think we get a better look here on the tight and in the end zone. But again, great throw and an even better catch right there by Justin. Got up a little shaky, but glad to report he's totally fine and healthy. But that's definitely the catch of the year for the Greyhounds, I think. And then finally here to cap it off defensively, we put a lot of emphasis on trying. We haven't scored a defensive touchdown since we've been here 3 years, which is kind of surprising. Usually you get 1 or 2. We've had a couple called back. Right here, Che Hendrix steps in front of a pass, and we've got a convoy of people for sure. And somehow he finds his way into the end zone, even if he gets tired. Show a clip from the end zone here, and stepped in front of that. Quarterback threw it a little behind him, and then we got in. That's why it was such a big deal for us to celebrate and get in, and it kind of capped off a perfect night for us. Scoring a defensive touchdown, it was just ultra exciting. Obviously for the players, but even more for the coaches. I think Coach Sawyer was as happy as I've ever seen him. Our defense coordinator on the sideline. So overall, again, great game. Those are four big plays.
And those again, the key plays for the Greyhounds in their win over Burnett this past week. Up next for Bernie, Port Lavaca, Calhoun, and the Sand Crabs. We'll preview that game coming up right after this on the Greyhounds Sports Network.
If you want to train like the athlete, and I mean truly train like a professional athlete, you come to D1.
Athletes are the staple of what we want to be. You want to be healthy, you want to be strong, you want to have a smile on your face, you want to be energetic when you walk into places and just have a presence about you. And so I think D1 creates that atmosphere, and they understand the opportunity they have in taking these individuals and making them better.
D1 Bernie,
the place for the athlete.
This place is going to change the way I play the game.
Hi, I'll take the
I'm
Charger
gonna get the
burger.
Greyhound burger, please.
Greyhound burger.
Charger Burger.
Charger burger. Mushrooms, Swiss, caramelized onions.
Greyhound burger, bacon and American cheese.
Charger burger.
Greyhound burger.
Charger burger.
Greyhound burger.
Charger burger.
Greyhound
Guys, you can like both of them at the same time.
We'll take two.
A whole lot of things have changed over the past few months, but some things have stayed just the same. Here in Bernie, Texas, we are still making your kids smile. You may not see that as easily with those masks on, but those smiles are just beneath. And when this all passes, and it will, you'll really be reminded of how we just keep making them smile. Thank you for your trust and support, and go Greyhounds.
Welcome back to Greyhounds football with head coach Che Hendrix. We just wrapped up Bernie's win over Burnett 38-7 this past week. Up next, Port Lavaca Calhoun. The Sand Crabs are 9-2 this season and coming off a playoff opening win of their own 74-0 over Zapata. So coach, I know that you typically look at recent history for a team with the most recent game film. The score jumps off the page. What did film tell you about this Port Lavaca Calhoun team?
Yeah, that they're really good. You know, they've had a great year. They've had a great run the past couple of years. They're big, they're physical, they're tough. They got 4 or 5 really special skill kids, so they've got the making of a really good team. That's why they're 9-2, and that's why they kind of handled Zapata the way they did. So we're expecting a tremendous game. You
and I were talking before we got the show going this week about this offense of Port Lavaca Calhoun. Sure, you see a lot of slot T. You see a lot of wing T in Texas high school football these days. You don't see a lot of the triple option. And that's what Port Lavaca Calhoun runs. It has some similarities to those offenses, but it's not the same. And Port Lavaca Calhoun runs it extremely well. You can look at the 74 points this past week as evidence of that. Just how difficult is it to prepare for the triple option offense?
The hardest thing about it is getting your scout team to line up and give you a look, because a lot of these players have never even seen it before. You know, we're used to the spread offense and all that stuff, so some of our kids haven't even seen it. So getting the scout team to do what they're supposed to do is a challenge, but it's just about being disciplined. It's about being sound. That's what makes the triple go. They do what they do, and they do it extremely well. They make great decisions. They don't turn the ball over. And so as a defense, you have to match that. You have to play extremely disciplined. You have to know your assignment and not just know it. You have to be willing to do it over and over and over again. And that's where a lot of teams get in trouble. Sometimes they come out and they start fast and they get a couple stops, and then they revert back to maybe their old way of being coached and not doing their assignment. So it's a big challenge for us, and hopefully we're up for the task.
Jarius Stewart, the quarterback, runs this offense very well. Steve Johnson is the feature back in this triple option. If you look, for comparison's sake, at the college level, the Naval Academy, Navy, runs this obviously better than anybody else. And a trend for the midshipmen is that the triple option will shorten the game. They will limit the amount of possessions for the other team. So that being said, how much do you have to maximize your possessions knowing you won't get as many of them in this game?
Well, there's 2 things that are kind of interesting. When you watch Calhoun play, they're not a typical ball control offense. They score in a hurry because they're so explosive. Their fullback and their quarterback, like you just mentioned, if they get loose, they're gone. And so they actually probably lose the time of possession battle, which is odd for a run-type team because they score so fast. That's how good they are at running it, and that's how good of a team they are, which – according to, or answering your question, if it turns into a ping pong match, and there is a lot of pressure to hold serve and to feel like you have to score. And so that'll be interesting to see how it goes for us. That's something we're talking to our offense about as well. We really need to control the pace. We really need to dictate the pace. If we want to play fast, we need to play fast. If we need to play slow, we need to play slow. So we have to be able to try to do that to neutralize what they're doing offensively.
Of course, Port Lavaca Calhoun's defense might have something to say about that. They just pitched a shutout last week. The team is giving up about 23 points a game. They forced 11 turnovers in 11 games this season, so the math, about one per game. Looking at the Sand Crabs defense, what challenges do they present to you?
A little bit of the same thing on offense. They're really big up front. They're really physical, hard to run the ball against. And then, they got good skilled kids covering. So the thing about them defensively, they kind of mirror their offense. They line up. Where they're going to line up. They don't do anything special. They just do it really, really well. They're very well coached. They're very well disciplined. Everybody seems to know their role, and they do their role extremely well. So they don't beat themselves. And that's the mark of a great team is when you can go into a game and play solid football. They don't have a lot of penalties. They don't turn the ball over. They do cause a couple of turnovers. So you have to beat them. They're not going to give you the game. They're not going to make 10 costly mistakes that cost them a ball game. So that's probably the thing about them most that I respect. And when you watch them, you just realize that they're very coached, they're very disciplined, they're very good at what they do.
You look at your first two seasons at Bernie. In the second round, your first year, you fell to Sealy. In round two, a year ago, it was Needville. This year, again, you faced Port Lavaca Calhoun. So the second round has served as a hurdle of sorts for the past couple of seasons. What do you feel as if the program has taken from those experiences, and in what ways should you approach this game differently?
Well, I don't know if we'll approach it much different, but I think the things we've learned and the things we've grown from in the past couple of years I think we're way better against the run. When you start playing later football and you get into second, third, fourth round of the playoffs, you got to be very tough and you got to be very physical. And that's where I think we've grown as a program. And that's why this is a big test for us, because obviously Calhoun checks all those boxes off. And so if we can line up against them and play smash mouth football the way they played, and we can hold up defensively and of course up front on the offensive line, then you'll see we've taken some big strides as a program. That's been a big point of emphasis through the years and through the offseason, was trying to get to a point where we can play that brand of football. And so, it's a big test. Sealy and Needville, those are two great football teams. They had tremendous years those years, and they were better than us. And we competed and played tough, but they're really good. And we're hoping we've taken some strides this year, and we're hoping we can match up with a team like this and beat them.
Well, Coach, best of luck this Friday.
Thank you.
Again, the Bernie Greyhounds take on the Port Lavaca Calhoun Sand Crabs this Friday at 7:30 in Jordanton as the Greyhounds look to advance to the third round. For head coach Che Hendrix, I'm Brain Freeman. This has been Greyhounds Football with Che Hendrix on the Greyhounds Sports Network. We'll see you next time.